Welcome back to the big show, the show where we talk about passions. Yeah. Do you think that should be the new theme song?
No. You might be surprised to hear that. No, I don't think that should be
Oh
the new
man,
song.
I thought it was like really, really such a masterpiece. But
It
whatever.
gave me some big top vibes.
Okay, all right, circus vibes. All right, hey everybody, I'm Latara.
Hey, I'm Laura.
And we are doing
Passions
podcast. I don't know why I said we are doing. We've been doing this for over 100 episodes, and I always say, and this is, and today I decided to go, and we are doing. What is it?
We're trying new things today. We're trying new things. So we're still many hundreds of miles apart.
Yeah,
my heart pines. I'll be back. My heart pines for thee.
My heart pines for thee as well. I'll be back on Monday, and when the show airs, I'll be back.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So what are we talking about today? Episodes 336 through 340. Yes.
Yes. Correct. Ooh. And they are a real treat.
They are a mess. They are a mess. I was telling Laura before we started recording, my notes are a mess. I don't know how much help they will be for me. I almost stopped taking notes because I was like, this doesn't make any sense. They're all out of order. It's just a mess. This week was just a mess. The only stuff I was able to take coherent notes on was Teresa and Ethan. That's it. Everything else was like...
My notes are all over the map, and I mean, dear listeners, you're going to hear the way I've broken up telling the story and summarizing is very different this week. We're just going to, as always, we're just going to do our best.
Yep.
We're just going to do our best. I don't know how helpful these notes are going to be. I mean, I think this is going to be, like you said, a little more off the cuff than typical, but
All right. I'm ready for it. I got this challenge. I'm in for the challenge. I'm down for it.
Let's start with the more coherent stuff. Let's talk fated couples.
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. Gwen wraps up her baseball bat rampage at the Lopez Fitzgerald house and returns to the Crane mansion with Ethan. She later attempts to seduce Ethan while wearing his mother's lingerie, and Rebecca arranges for Teresa to see the two of them together. Her plan almost works, and Teresa begins to doubt her place in society and in Ethan's heart. He insists on having a rational conversation with Gwen and Teresa about their options moving forward. And Teresa seems to be on the precipice of revealing that Ethan's birth father is actually Sam Bennett.
Nice. That was great. That was really great.
Thank you very much. That was easy compared to the rest.
All right. So let's talk about this. So yeah, Rebecca has advised Gwen to give up on being angry and to just pretend to be hurt. But it's like, you should be hurt. And I know we talked about this last week.
I want to continue talking about this because multiple times now in the past several episodes, since Red Dress Gwen has kind of gone on a rampage here, there's been talk of play up the vulnerability, play up the wounded bird, play up the neediness, all of these things. And then Rebecca and Gwen are like, but we know that's not really you. We know that you're strong and resilient, and we know that you're not needy or whiny or any of these other things that we're just pretending for you to be, except that's absolutely false. We know that Gwen is needy and she is vulnerable, and she what's the word where you doubt yourself all of the time? Insecure. She's super insecure. Like these things we've seen a pattern between her and Ethan of being all of the things that she and Rebecca have like no real like vision of who this person is. Who is Gwen? Like they have it all fucking wrong.
Yeah, well, and like I said last week, I don't care how strong you are or who you are. If your fiance breaks up with you the night before your wedding, you're going to cry about it. Like that's hurtful. She should be hurt. She should be sad. Like that makes complete sense. Angry, sure. Like there's a wealth of emotion that I imagine goes along with that. And so, but they have really leaned into, and I know they're doing it to make Gwen a villain as fast as possible, like truly make her the villain as fast as possible. But they've really leaned into, she is faking these emotions. Like that at this week, they had her like put water on her eyes to make tears. I wouldn't need to do that. Like, I would really be sad and upset, especially considering I'm debasing myself to this point where I'm wearing his mama's negligee and getting in bed with him. I would be distraught.
I mean, I also think you would get a richer performance if you allowed a character to have more than one emotion, because generally several emotions happen at the same time and then one kind of surfaces more than the other. But to just have this actress only be mad is getting very annoying.
I'm mad. Teresa's a bitch.
It's like, I'm still mad and Teresa's still a bitch.
That slut. That Mija slut. Like,
oh my God.
But like I said, they're doing it to make you hate Gwen.
Yeah.
As fast as possible. They don't want any nuance. They want us to hate her. But anyway, she plays it up. Ethan takes her back to the Crane mansion. She says, "Why don't you take me back to your house where I don't know why she wanted to go back to. I mean, I know why, but I don't remember what the pretext was. Like,
well, I think it's because her mom was there.
Oh, okay.
She needed the comfort of her mother. And then when they got to the mansion, Rebecca's like, "Oh, but it's the middle of the night. Gwen is distraught. Can't we just stay here for old time's sake?" And so, she's just hatching her plan.
Yeah. And so they are in Ethan's room. There are no rooms in this mansion. We've seen the living. It's like a 3-bedroom.
I have to say it's a 3-bedroom mansion. We've seen Julian's room. What's her name? Ivy's room and Ethan's room.
And Ethan's room and the living room. That's what we've seen. It's a 3-bedroom mansion.
No room for Sheridan. She's got to sleep on the couch in the cottage.
Yeah. They don't have a guest room. They're in Ethan's room. And then she brings in, Rebecca's like, "I brought this for you." And it's like a pink nightie, but it's a floor length. Okay, so there's really nothing sexy about it.
It looked like a prom dress.
Yeah.
They repeated several times that this was lingerie, this was a negligee, I found it in Ivy's closet, all this other stuff. And I was like, "Are you sure? It looks like a homecoming gown."
Yeah, I felt the exact same way. I was like, it's floor length. It's like it's a gown. Yes. Yeah.
And Gwen's red dress was more revealing.
Yeah. Is that sexy? I don't know. No. Is it sexy if it's his mama's?
Definitely not.
That's just weird. Because Gwen goes, "Where'd you get this?" And Rebecca says, "Oh, it's Ivy's, but from what I can tell, it doesn't get any use." And so she's like, "So you can get some good use out of it?" It's disgusting.
I have no interest in wearing anybody else's negligee
at all.
Certainly not my boyfriend's mom.
So weird. So weird. Gwen says to Rebecca, "Ethan's not gonna go for it. He's too noble. He'll never have sex with me because he's too noble." Gwen's like, he's just not gonna do it. Rebecca's like, "Give it a try."
At one point, Rebecca says something to the effect that men are slaves to sex.
She does.
I was like, "Excuse me?"
He's just a man. And I will say, and I've made this point before, you can trust Ethan to run all of Crane Industries, but you can't trust him to keep it in his pants. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the self-control to do that because he's a man. I don't get it. I don't get it.
This outdated idea. Men are slaves to sex. They just can't control themselves around a pussy. Like, come on.
And honestly, I feel like it was outdated in the year 2000, but maybe I'm wrong. I was only 10, 11 at the time.
I think it's been an outdated idea for a long, long time. And yet it's been perpetuated. I don't get this. I really don't get this.
Yeah. But I mean,
no one is that stupid. No one is so stupid that they can't control their own urges. But this is just basically saying that men are stupid. They aren't in control of themselves. And Ethan is a dum-dum. But Come on.
But like when you were a kid, did your mom or dad, I don't know, tell you, because both of my parents told me basically this, and like other family members, like boys only want one thing.
Yep, I heard exactly that from
You
my
know?
mom all the time. Boys only want one thing. But like, and look, assaults happen all the time, and I understand that, but usually it's actually not, like, even sex crimes are not sex based, they're control based.
Mhm.
Like, if men really couldn't control themselves, if boys really couldn't control themselves, like, women would not be walking the streets. It would be too unsafe. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
this tired old trope, I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't.
I know.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah, I heard it all the time.
You know, so it was outdated, but it was still something that was like very prevalent even back then for me, you know, for my my parents saying that to me. It's like, ugh. Anyway, eventually Rebecca gets Gwen to go along with this scheme. Okay, so she sends her into Ethan's bedroom, and we actually get the exact same scene. You remember when Teresa went into Ethan's bedroom and like got into the bed and
he
waited?
was in the shower and she just waited for him. Gwen did the exact same thing. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, she does that. She puts the water on her eyes to try to pretend like she's crying. Then she goes, and then Ethan doesn't hear her. And she's like, he comes out. He's like, oh my God, Gwen. He tries to comfort her. And she's like, Ethan, just lay with me. He's like, I can't sleep with you, Gwen. She's like, I don't want you to sleep with me. Just hold me like you used to. Put your arms around me. Maybe it'll help me go to sleep, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Teresa has decided to go over to the mansion because there's been this cave-in, right? Like everybody is now finding out about the kids falling into the mine shaft. And instead of calling Ethan to say, you know, you need to help, I don't know what her purpose was.
I was thinking about that as I was writing the summaries. I was like, why did she go over? Because shouldn't she be there with her mother and brother trying to save her other brother? Like, I didn't. Yeah, what was the purpose? Because no one from the Crane family was hurt.
Right. I don't know. I think because
I think she just loves him and wants to include him at every possible moment. Yeah. I think it's just a flimsy excuse.
Yeah. So she decides to go over. Pilar tries to stop her, but she doesn't listen, of course, because she never listens. She is a fucking maniac. I love her, but she's a goddamn maniac. Lunatic. Yeah. And so Pilar then calls ahead to the mansion again. Why? Pilar calls, says to Julian answers the phone, says to Julian, Teresa's on her way over, just send her back home. Don't, you know, let her in the house, just send her back home. He's like, you're goddamn right, I'll send her back. I don't know why he's a redneck now. I've been in Tennessee too long.
He's an oil man. He's an oil man now. Goddamn right, I'll send her right back to you.
Right back.
A rancher, perhaps.
So Rebecca overhears this and she tells Julian, no, I got this. Teresa's in for the shock of her life. So when Teresa gets to the door, Rebecca tells her, Ethan's upstairs in bed with Gwen because he never loved you and he only loves her and he was only playing with you, blah, blah, blah. And she like walks her up the stairs slowly. Teresa's like in denial. She's like, no. Then they like open the door and Ethan and Gwen are in bed together, kissing.
Making out. Yeah. Also, here's the other thing. Like, Gwen was like, Ethan, please hold me. And he gets under the covers with her and puts his arms around her. Like, a hug is very different than cuddling in bed. And then she starts kissing him and he's kissing her back. Like he's making out with Gwen in bed.
And if you really want to draw the line, why not put on some clothes?
Put on some clothes.
He's like only in his boxers. If you really want to draw the line, put on some clothes. That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Like this looks bad.
Yeah.
Ethan sucks.
Well, Ethan sucks
so
Ethan
bad.
Ethan sucks. Today, just like, or these 5 episodes, like, just solidified even more. I didn't know it was possible, but even more that Ethan sucks.
How much he fucking sucks.
How much he sucks. We're gonna get.
We'll get there. Because I feel like you and I probably had the exact same thought later on. So Teresa and Rebecca stand in the doorway, unnoticed by Gwen and Ethan. for a
they're
while.
Busy. They're busy staring into each other's eyes
for a long time. And Teresa just
for like an episode.
And Rebecca's whispering in her ear, I told you, he always loved Gwen and he always will. He never loved you, Teresa. Just whispering in her ear.
You were nothing more than a diversion. Sorry, you were nothing more than a diversion. You meant nothing to Ethan.
Yeah. So Teresa like screams, no, and then she runs away.
She says no more. She screams no more, no. Which is the best scream.
She has a couple of moments where she's just screaming, but I love it. I love it.
No more.
And she runs down the stairs. Ethan tries to follow her. Rebecca stops him in the doorway. It's like, no, Ethan, you shouldn't go after her. You should stay here with Gwen. I don't know. And Ethan immediately, finally, he like realizes that he's been set up. He's like, you set this whole thing up, didn't you? And then he turns on Gwen and says, is this the kind of person you are? Like you would set me up and set Teresa up to be hurt. Boy, didn't you see her strangling that girl?
Seriously. And he already knows that Rebecca set Teresa up to try and get her out of the United States. Like, he knows how devious they are.
Oh my God.
This shouldn't be a surprise to him, but he's dense. He's denser than a pound cake, this man.
Teresa is running down. She stops on the stairs, and we get possibly the longest montage of the series so far.
I wrote that down. It was so
8 minutes long.
It was so fucking long. It was basically a supercut of every Ethan and Teresa scene from episode like 15. Like it was so fucking long.
It was everything except the times when she poured shit all over him.
It was, yeah. Yeah.
It was crazy.
God.
So she stops on the stairs, has her montage. He keeps trying to get past Rebecca, but she's kind of stopping him, and he gives them a good little talking to. I don't know though. I just can't take these his righteous indignation. He's wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. Completely.
You're wrong completely. Everyone, yes, everyone played their part. Teresa definitely was making herself available, as we've discussed. Gwen was also making Teresa available, but also, like, at the end of the day, Ethan was the one who has snuck around and lied to people that he claimed to have obligations to and feelings for and respect for. So at the end of the day, in my opinion, it falls in Ethan's lap. And yet like you said, he's walking around in a state of righteous indignation, as if both of these people are treating him unfairly by not hearing him out. It's like they've heard everything they need to hear, and they've seen everything they need to see.
Yeah. And they're making the choices they're making, like according to what you are doing.
And they're allowed to make their own choices according to what you are doing. Yeah. They don't exist to please you.
Yeah. Sir. You're giving Gwen you're sending Gwen the signal that she has a chance. You're sending Teresa the signal that she has a chance, that you're telling them both that you love them. So anyway, he manages to run after Teresa. Gwen is pissed. She gets mad at Rebecca because she was like, I had him, because she didn't know. To her credit, she had no clue that Teresa was coming. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
That was something Rebecca did. She did crawl into bed with Ethan and was trying to manipulate him into being with her. But honestly, I can give her a pass on it, because that's what Gwen gonna Gwen.
Gwen. And sex has always been like how they've connected. I mean, I think we said it before, they must have great fucking sex. I don't know what else to say.
She's been saying that. In the last few episodes. So, she wanted to get to the D again, but Ethan runs down the stairs. Gwen is pissed at Rebecca, says, I almost had him. You ruined everything. You ruined everything. You stupid bitch. You ruined everything. She ruined she kind of did. Anyway, because I think Ethan was about to go there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
he was at least gonna let Gwen suck his dick. You know what I mean? Like it might have stopped at oral copulation, but like he was at least gonna get that far.
He definitely was. That's hilarious. manages to kind of turn it around and turn it on Teresa and say, like, Teresa's the problem here. And so Gwen's, of course, like, yeah, that bitch, I hate her. She's so manipulative. She's doing it again. She's taking him from me. Okay. He ran to her willingly. When Ethan catches up with Teresa, she screams, telling him to get away from her. She's like, leave me alone, Ethan. I'm done with this. And then he says, I never lied to you, Teresa. I love you, but I also love Gwen. I never lied to you, which is true. He did not lie to her. He didn't tell her that he didn't love Gwen. He actually kept saying he loved her. Well, he kept saying he was going to marry her. It's only recently he started saying he loved her.
That's true.
So,
but Teresa responds that you and I have very different definitions of love. If you think you love me and Gwen, then we don't share the same love, because I could never love two people. I could only ever love you.
She says, I could never love two men at the same time. And I'm going to go ahead and say she going to eat those words.
Yeah, I kind of assumed she was going to, that was going to happen at some point. She's going to
eat those
multiple
words.
men. But at this point in time, yeah.
But let me just say, the next part of this, again, I was like, this girl's a lunatic.
This girl's a lunatic. And this is also where I was like, but maybe Ethan is on the same level of lunacy based on his response.
Yes.
You want to talk about it?
Yes, Teresa says.
These two start talking about weddings.
Yeah, well, Teresa looks at him and says, there's only one way to resolve this situation. That's with a wedding. ... Then she goes, somebody has to get married. Somebody has to get married. Me and you. And Ethan responds with, you're right. It needs to get resolved tonight. He just literally was not listening to her, because his next thing was, we're going to resolve this by sitting down and having a conversation. Why did you not respond to her saying we need to get married?
Thank you. Because the response he gave definitely sounded like we're having a wedding tonight in Harmony.
Yeah, like they were going to find Father Lonigan and like make it happen.
Yeah. Or take Sheridan, if Sheridan's going to fly them off to Vegas or something. Like, yeah. I mean, it was like, did Ethan just agree? Teresa also, I think, told him that she wanted to get married to him. They haven't been on a date. They are not an official couple.
They are not an official couple. They have,
like, they're not in a relationship. And she's like, I want to marry you. And he's like, let's do it tonight. And he's like, wait a minute, but not get married. Let's just talk.
Yeah. No, Teresa's really letting it rip now. Like, yeah. I think she had been, which is actually kind of scary. She had been holding back some, which is actually kind of terrifying. But no longer. She's letting it rip. She's like, let's get married. I love you. We'll have a great life together. Like, it's to him. She's been saying this stuff to other people. She hadn't been letting this much of her crazy show to him. But
she's been holding back. We've been seeing the reserved version of Teresa.
The girl's a maniac. I love her. And I always will.
Yeah.
And part of that too is that they are making Gwen into a villain.
A villain.
A true villain.
A villain, but also for me, a boring villain, because it's so one note. Like, I've got to have a little bit more going on. I
agree. I think it's also boring because
also, why are you fast tracking in a show that has taken the slowest route to every other endpoint? Why are we now fast tracking this one thing?
That's a good point. That's a great point. I don't.
You have the time. You have the time to develop the character. Do it.
I don't. That's such a good point. Like, we hit villain Gwen in episode 336 or whatever, and we continue with villain Gwen until episode 2030 or whatever.
Like, what's going on here? Can we add some dimension? I don't know.
No dimension, no growth, nothing. Just evil.
Just passions.
Yeah, Gwen is also boring because it's like, what is what do you really want? Why do you want this? I feel like a good villain, you know why they want what they want. For with Gwen, it's like, what is it that you want from Ethan beyond that's worth all of this, right?
Right.
Like, you're rich, she's rich. What is there else to want?
It actually seems like she might have more in the bank than Ethan, because Julian is more worried about this merger than the Hotchkisses are. You know what I mean? Like, he and Alistair are like, this has to happen or we are fucked. And Rebecca is just like, my daughter won't be embarrassed. She's going to have the best. She's going to marry Ethan. Like, I understand where Rebecca's coming from, but even Gwen is pushing back against her mom and is being like, you know what, maybe this isn't worth it. You know, like, maybe I hate Teresa, but like, you know, maybe I'm done with this. And Rebecca is pushing her. So like, maybe Rebecca is the villain and Gwen is her tool. I don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, Rebecca definitely is a villain.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. And I don't know I'm not sure what Rebecca wants besides this wedding. I guess I am meant to believe, and maybe because I'm such a fucking poor that I don't understand the intermachinations of billionaires and like and how important it is to like merge your families and shit, because I'm just a fucking poor. But to me, it's like, I'm rich, I don't have to put up with this shit.
Yeah, I think we just don't get it because we're serfs.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. We're just meant to work the land and not ask questions.
Yeah. I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, wandering through this world of woe. Okay. So I just don't get it. So I'm gonna move on. Anyway, these three, Ethan tells Gwen, goes back upstairs, tells Gwen he wants to sit down, have a talk with the three of them together without Rebecca. Gwen refuses. I agree. Agreed.
I agree. I also agree. And I hate Ethan's response, which I can't find right now, but basically she's like, I'm not going to be reduced to begging. You know, she says this to her mom. She tells Ethan, I'm not going to go and have a conversation with you. Like this, how dare you even ask me to sit down and have a rational conversation 3 hours after you dump me the night before our wedding. And Ethan is an ass because he tells her that if she refuses to talk, then he'll take that to mean that she doesn't want to be a part of his life anymore. Mm-hmm. What do you mean she doesn't want to be part of your life anymore? You just broke up with her and she's exercising her right to fucking avoid you. She doesn't owe you a conversation. You owe her a conversation on her terms.
On her terms. Yes. Like that shocks. I cannot stand this man at all. And I agree. Like, that was so fucked up. I was very offended. Probably why I didn't take notes on it. I was like watching this and I was kind of having a hard time with it.
Me too. I was really pissed
because Ethan is, as we've said so many times, Ethan is the problem, the biggest problem. And he is like,
he's dictating what happens with these women.
To Gwen, whom you have hurt so badly. And I know
Teresa,
the show is
who he also hurt so badly.
I know the show is trying to make Gwen the villain, but Ethan is the villain.
Yeah.
Ethan is the bad guy. So anyway, he goes on downstairs after saying that bullshit. Gwen's like, no, I'm not doing it. Fuck it. I'm done with this. You know, if this is what he wants, maybe it's for the best. Like you said, maybe it's for the best. Rebecca is the one who convinces her, no, you have to go down there and play the same game she plays and be vulnerable and show him how much he hurt you, yada, yada, yada. And she says, and once you are Mrs. Ethan Crane, then you'll be able to get your revenge on Teresa. Mm-hmm. So Gwen and Rebecca go down to the living room to have this chat. Ethan says, Rebecca, get the fuck out of here. There's no reason for you to be here. Rebecca's like, of course there's a reason for me to be here. And he's like, no, there's not. Get out. So she leaves, but she listens on from the hallway or from the foyer or whatever. But before this, Teresa makes a speech. I'm sorry, I meant to say this before. Teresa makes this speech to Ethan while they're sitting down in the living room waiting for Gwen. about how she's finally in the house as an equal. And he goes, "What do you mean you've always been an equal here?" And she's like, "No, I was the housekeeper's daughter and Ivy's secretary. Like, I was an employee. Now I'm here because you want me here as uh, your girlfriend, as your partner. Like, this is huge for people like me." Oof.
Yeah, she said, this house, your family, your name, like it represents the dreams of everybody in Harmony, and everybody from the wrong side of the tracks wants to be where I am. And so no matter what else happens, I can say, quote, "At least I got this far."
Yeah.
Yikes.
So, and I think we didn't say this, but Ethan apologizes to Teresa and explains that Rebecca set her up to see all of that shit, and she like immediately takes him back. That's why we're all ready to have this conversation.
Yeah. Sorry, we did skip over that very important thing,
but whatever. Who fucking cares? So when Rebecca and Gwen come in, Ethan sends Rebecca away. Gwen comes in and suggests to Ethan, which was not a bad suggestion, maybe you should go away for a while, go to Europe, get away, don't see either of us, even though the minute he went to Europe, Gwen was going to be on the next flight to Europe after him.
Yeah,
because she knows Teresa can't get to Europe by herself.
Yeah, that's true.
But honestly, if she was being honest about it, I think that would be like a fine situation. I'd be like, yeah, take some time, figure it out by yourself. You know, maybe we should all just spend some time alone.
Maybe you shouldn't be with anyone right now.
Yeah. And so Teresa's like, "No, you can't. I would die without you." And Gwen's like, "Yeah, of course you don't want him to go, because if he goes, you can't manipulate him anymore." And that's when Ethan wants this sweet, docile woman who won't say anything. He wants everybody to just be nice to each other. And if I'm Gwen, I can't be nice to Teresa.
No,
I can't be nice to Ethan either, but I couldn't be Gwen. Couldn't be me. Could not be me. No. Couldn't. But I can't be nice to Teresa, and you shouldn't expect me to be nice to Teresa, and you shouldn't be acting like I'm the bad guy because I say mean things to her.
I especially couldn't be nice to Teresa if my position was everything was fine, and then she has been manipulating you from the beginning, and I have figured it out, and I know this to be true, that you are a tool in her belt and you don't see it. So I especially couldn't be nice to Teresa from Gwen's POV. You know, from my perspective, I know that Ethan is really the bad guy. We've talked about this a million times, but like, there's no fucking way I could sit down and have a civil conversation. And why should I?
Why should I?
And why should I?
Mm-mm.
Again, at all. This Teresa and Gwen are being forced to exist on Ethan's terms.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know who to choose, so I'm not going to choose anybody. I'm going to have my cake and eat it too, and you two are just going to have to be okay being sister wives.
Yeah. So then Ethan makes this speech. Okay, this was the part where I was like, this dude is fucking awful.
Yes.
Ethan makes this speech about how he's the one who's being hurt the worst because he could lose both of them. Excuse me? And then he says to Gwen, "I couldn't marry you because I wanted to do the right thing, and Crane men if I was going to follow in the footsteps of all Crane men, I would have married you and just had Teresa as my mistress, but I want to break that cycle and stop hurting women." Excuse me? Look at what you are doing.
Right.
Look at I was like, I think I wrote in my notes, like, the irony is he's hurting them very badly, just not in the same typical way. It's just a different way. You're still hurting them and have like what feels like disregard for them and their feelings. Like everything's about centered on Ethan, about like, I had to do the right thing. Look at me. I'm not going to take Teresa as my mistress. I'm I'm so noble. I'm so much better.
Yes.
And I know, actually, the thing is, what pissed me off about this was that the writers clearly did not pick up on how bad he's hurting both of these women. And we're really like writing this to make us, the viewers, to manipulate us, the viewers, into thinking that Ethan's such a great guy. Like, because he starts to say, I don't know, there's something inside of me that just makes me not want to do those same things, which alludes to Julian not being his father, right? And that and his father is actually Sam, who's this great guy, right?
Right. Yeah, the whole thing is like something in me wants to fight my DNA, right? So this is a tool to lead us into like to giving Teresa the opportunity to tell Ethan that Sam Bennett is his father. We don't know if she's going to, but this is where it's going. But I completely agree that he has basically reversed the victim stance, and he's been victimizing these women and is now telling them that they're actually hurting him. I love you both so much, and you're forcing me to choose, and I don't know what to do, and I wouldn't ever disrespect you by being dishonest, except that he's been dishonest this entire time.
The entire time. The whole time.
Until he couldn't do it anymore.
I can't. Ethan, that was
I can't.
It was so tone deaf.
You're hurting me.
It was so tone deaf. Like, these women are fighting over you, and somehow it's all your fault. Like, it's not. Oh, well,
and like you pointed this out earlier, he's also not listening to them. He literally glossed over what Teresa said. He didn't listen to Gwen when she laid out exactly what Teresa had done. She's like, she has a shrine to you. She's been following you around. She's been like, she wormed her way into the mansion. Like, all of these things are true. He's just not listening.
Yeah.
So he doesn't actually want to have a conversation with them. He just wants to tell them what he wants and then expects them to do it. Because even though he is Sam Bennett's son, he's been raised in that Crane house, and that he is a Crane. True and true.
Yeah. All right. So now we're going to take a quick break and thank our patrons. Thank you to Munashe, Marcus, Erica, Breland, Lisa, Zach, Sid, Sarana, Dustin, Heather, Randall, Bridget, Ashley, Hannah, Camelia, Amanda, Monique, Samantha, and our two newest patrons, Amy and Chucky. Thank you all so very much. We love you all so much.
Yeah.
And remember, if you would like to become a patron, you just hop on over to patreon.com/passionspodcast and sign up for whatever tier you are comfortable with. Amazing. And it helps us so much. It's so helpful. Thank you.
It is. Yes. Thank you so much.
All right. So you ready to move on?
Oh boy, I'm ready to move on.
All right. So this is, for me, it's going to be a mess. Like, my notes are all over the place.
For me, it's going to be a mess. So I'm just going to tell you how I broke things up. Okay. So this whole next section is magic. And I started with what's happening below ground, and then we're going to move above ground. So below ground is the kids and Tabitha, the witches. Above ground is going to be Shuise, Whitney and Chad, and stuff with Julia and troubled marriages. Okay. Right. So here's my below ground magic summary. Kay tries to convince Miguel that Charity is evil and she's trying to kill them both. Kay is correct, and Charity does some lightning nonsense and boulder tossing, which causes big disturbances above ground, but does not interfere with Kay and Miguel at all. Miguel refuses to believe anything that Kay tells him, but is confronted with magic when both he and Kay stumble upon / are transported to Hecuba's cave. Apparently, Hecuba is a witch who trapped in an underground cave 300 years ago. Kay and Miguel are shown possible futures when they look into a special mirror and then continue on their merry. Charity, Tabitha, and Timmy also stumble upon Hecuba, who seems to be far more powerful than evil Charity. Charity picks up a big crystal, and then they all leave in pursuit of Miguel. Charity corners him and starts shooting lightning at him while he tries to talk her down and reminds her of how deeply he loves her. We again endure Charity's struggle with good and evil before Kay finally convinces Miguel that they need to escape in a minecart, which they do.
Ridiculous.
That's the best I can summarize it.
It was all so ridiculous. That was great. No, you did a great job. I can't imagine having to do this week.
That's the best I can say. It was utter nonsense.
I can't imagine having to summarize this week. I thought I had it bad last week. This week was worse.
I thought you had it bad last week too. I was like, what is happening?
This week was worse.
What is happening?
The magic is like insane.
Their magic is insane, and there's also a lot of back and forth, and between these characters where the same thing happens, but there's no actual, like, it doesn't actually drive the plot forward.
Yep.
And they did that like several times, so it's like, well, do I include this? I even the stuff with Charity picking up that crystal, I was like, I think this is going to be important, but I don't actually know.
Yeah,
because like it, and they don't explain anything.
No,
whatever. It
took them so long to explain Hecuba. It took so long for us to get to Hecuba, where this lady, where she just shows up and we're like, okay, and it takes 5 episodes for us to figure out, oh, that's another witch and whatever. But so yes, Kay and Miguel are like searching these mine tunnels for Charity. Kay again says to Miguel, man, listen, I know it wasn't a dream. All of this shit happened. This angel came out of the box. There was a gold light. Tabitha's doll was talking. Charity is trying to kill us. Charity is evil. She's just trying to tell him Charity's evil. I'm telling you. He's like, no, she's not. You shouldn't talk about your cousin that way. He like gets pissed at her and defends Charity, which, you know what? Fine, because he wasn't awake for it. And it sounds crazy.
It's fine. It sounds crazy, except that the minute Miguel turns and walks away because he starts getting mad, suddenly the spot where they were both standing turns into quicksand, and Kay is like sucked into it. Because Charity casts a fucking spell.
You know what else is hard for me with Miguel, with him not believing Kay, is that Charity strangled him on the docks after the prom boat disaster, and he remembers that. Yes. He also knows, he doesn't know how she got back to shore. He was like struck down by lightning, didn't realize how it happened, didn't know how it happened. Like there's a lot of things surrounding Charity, and he does remember being strangled by her and flat out told her, like, you just weren't being yourself. So he knows there's something going on with Charity. He knows that.
He also, let's not forget, is very aware of Charity's premonitions. Like he has all the reason in the world to believe what Kay is telling him, but he just doesn't want to.
He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to believe it. So he like gets pissed at her and defends Charity, then starts to head back to the mine shaft. He's like, I'm going back to the mine shaft to find Charity. And Charity, this entire time, God, Charity sucks. Charity sucks in evil form. Charity sucks in good form. I think Charity sucks.
You know what? I want to rescind what I said several episodes ago. I was like, ooh, I like evil Charity. Nope. I don't like evil Charity. I did just because it was something different, but now it's the same.
It's the same and it's annoying because
it's the same and it's annoying.
She's as useless as Tabitha. Like, and she has full powers.
I was gonna say she's more useless because she has access to her abilities and still can't get anything done other than wiggle her fingers and go, we're back. That's all she does.
So she's like, through all of these episodes, she's just like shooting lasers out of her hands to like cause different cave-ins and shit. And so this time she like, I guess, can she hear them? Does she know what's going on between the two of them?
She can. I don't know how she can hear them, but she knows what's going on. I don't know if they're utilizing Tabitha's magic mirror or what the hell is happening, but I do want to just say it is important to note that yes, she's shooting lasers. She's like causing rocks to fly around. Like things are falling into the mine shaft. Things are being blown outside of the mine shaft. Like it's chaos above ground, which we're going to talk about. But I assume underground, like the whole point, she's doing all these things to try and kill Miguel. And still misses, even though she apparently knows where he is because she conjures the quicksand around Kay. So how are you missing?
Yeah. So she causes like this rumble or whatever. And Kay, she starts pushing Kay into like some quicksand. Yeah. And Kay's like, what's happening?
Because
I'm telling
Miguel
you, it's
grabs
Charity.
A stick.
Miguel grabs it's Charity. And she falls into the quicksand. Miguel pulls her out. And then she's like, I'm telling you, Charity's evil. Charity did that to me. And he still doesn't believe her. They fight. And then they're separated by another cave-in that Charity causes. And that's when Kay gets like pulled through a wall,
I don't understand, because later on there's a doorway, but Kay is like absorbed into the cave's wall, and then she is in like a then she's in Hecuba's cave.
Yeah, I don't.
Does Hecuba magic her in?
I guess so. I guess so. I don't know, cuz whatever, she's in some random cave, and we'll come back to to that part, I think. Right? Because they're separated. Oh yeah, because now Charity's been causing shit to happen above ground. Like, I called it a rock storm. You know why? Because it wasn't a rock slide and it wasn't an earthquake. There were rocks like flying horizontally across the screen,
and it wasn't a hailstorm.
It was a rock storm.
It was a rock storm.
Rocks flying, boulders flying like in straight lines across the screen.
It was like a bunch of it's almost as if there was a bunch of people offset just throwing
rocks,
spongy fake rocks at people. It's almost like that's what we were looking at.
So anyway, during that whole thing, a giant boulder falls down into the shaft, and then it like rolls over Tabitha, and then it rolls Indiana Jones style down like this fucking mine tunnel. And she's like, that boulder is going to kill Miguel. And he stands there looking at it for the longest time. And I was like, it's not going to kill him. I was like, there's literally so many nooks and crannies for him to just like slide into, which is exactly what he does.
He literally stares at this, like you said, Indiana Jones boulder. I wasn't sure if you'd seen Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, yeah. So
I haven't seen the newest one with Shia LaBeouf. I never saw that one.
Okay. Yeah, it was good until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then it got real stupid. But yeah, he stares at this Indiana Jones boulder rolling towards him, and then he literally steps to the side.
Yeah.
That's it. He literally
steps in the name of love. He just takes a little step.
He did a 2-step to safety, man.
Yeah.
You know,
1-2 step. Yeah. Just all right. There you go. And that's done. We followed 45 minutes on that boulder.
So much time of that fucking boulder. So much because the props department probably spent a lot of time working on it, so they had to use it.
But he steps right out of the way.
To the side.
He steps right out of the way.
God.
So I this is where I get lost in my notes. I'm not entirely sure.
Listen, somehow Miguel ends up in Hecuba's cave.
Yeah, because Hecuba shows up.
I don't know.
Tells Kay, I've been waiting for you for such a long time. I'm gonna give you everything your heart desires. And then she shows her this mirror, and in the mirror she sees herself and Miguel making love, right? And she's like, this is great, cool. Then Miguel comes into the cave. Hecuba disappears. Kay's like, hey, and neither of these two are as astonished by this cave as they should, because when we say cave, it's not a cave like you would expect underground. It is like a fully furnished like palace.
Cave of Wonder. It's like the Cave of Wonders.
Yeah, it's like a fully furnished palace. So it's like neither of them are as astonished by this as they should be.
Well, do you remember Kay's explanation?
Kay says that she thinks it's a bomb shelter. She's like, it's okay, the Cold War's over, you can come out.
Yep, that's the explanation. They think it's a bomb shelter. Oh, I've read about these.
Girl, again, things are about to go downhill real fast because my notes are a mess. I don't
downhill like that rock.
Like that fucking rock.
Look, I thought so. First, I just have to say, I didn't understand what the fuck was going on with Hecuba for a while, but I really liked her performance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually so far a big fan of Hecuba.
Mm-hmm.
I think I need to look up the actress, but I'm really enjoying the performance. But I thought perhaps she was going to bestow Kay with some magical powers, because she's like, I'm going to give you your heart's desire. You're going to have everything you ever need to get what you want. And I was like, ooh, more magic. Nope. She's just going to show her this Harry Potter mirror of Erised, or Erised, or however they say it. Look in the mirror and you'll see the thing that you most want in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But then Miguel looks in the mirror and that's not what happens. He sees Charity shooting lightning at him.
Yeah, because I think the mirror shows you like the future, a possible
futures. Yeah.
So, and I don't know if Hecuba manipulates that or not. That's what I'm wondering. Because I think maybe she does. I think she could have shown Miguel what Kay was seeing, but opted to have him see Charity.
I was unclear. I was unclear on that. At first, I thought it was Hecuba manipulating things, but then with Miguel, I was like, perhaps this is truly its own entity, and it just shows a potential future. I don't know.
This is exhausting to talk about. Like I'm about to have a hard time getting through this part, because there's a lot of back and forth. Basically, Charity and Tabitha realize that the reason why Charity hasn't been able to kill Miguel is because Hecuba, the kids have found Hecuba's cave. Like that's what they say. Because I'm sitting there like, how the hell is she not able to kill anybody? Nobody. Yeah. So they gave that explanation. I don't know about the people up top, but that's the explanation they gave for Miguel. So then Charity's like, what the fuck you talking about? Hecuba's back? What do we, show me, take me to her. So they find Hecuba's cave, go in, but Hecuba slams the door in their faces and disappears the cave. So then they go around looking for her again. And when they do find her, Kay and Miguel have disappeared. They're gone. Before Kay and Miguel leave the cave, though, Hecuba plants like a giant diamond crystal. It's like those diamonds that the ladies hold on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Yeah. On their it's like a paperweight looking thing.
Yeah. She finds that, hides it in her pants.
Wait, also, was that Kay or was it Charity?
It was Kay. It was 100%
It was Kay. I said it was the wrong person, I think. But okay, so Kay picks up this crystal thing.
Yeah, because Hecuba wanted her to take it out of the cave.
Right. Yeah. Hecuba was like, please take this. And I was like, is this the key to her release?
I think so.
Okay. I thought it seemed like it was important. Like I was like, there's no way that they would include this specific thing if it didn't matter. So it seemed like it was important. Yeah.
Yeah. She hides it in her pants, in her butt pants. I think in her pants.
Yeah, her back pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. It was huge though. So
it was like, and it was like misshapen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was like, okay. But anyway, they fuck off to somewhere and are no longer in Hecuba's lair. When Tabitha and Charity show up, and Tabitha, Charity, and Timmy show up, and then Charity like shoots lightning at Hecuba, but it does not faze her at all. She's like, your shit does not work down here.
Hecuba is like Tabitha. So this is kind of where we learn that Hecuba was trapped in this cave 300 years ago by Tabitha, and has spent the last 300 years growing her powers. And so Charity is no match for her. When Charity tries to do anything, Hecuba like basically just turns the off switch. So like, so but we don't know Hecuba's like, we don't know anything else. I don't know.
Timmy at one point says to Tabitha, who the heck is Hecuba? Which was great. I loved that. I loved it. Who the heck is Hecuba? And Tabitha tells Timmy she's a powerful witch who could possibly destroy them all. So
that old chestnut.
Yeah, that old chestnut. So you remember when Tabitha was a fish?
Remember when she had a mermaid tail and Reese like ripped the blanket off to try and see it?
I just thought about that. Tabitha was a fish because that other witch turned her into a fish.
Well, because Timmy says something. It was like, Tabby, why is it every witch we run into hates you?
So they find her, but they can't do anything to her. Apparently Tabitha is the one who cursed Hecuba to be stuck in this cave. That's what we find out.
Yeah, and then they make her look in the mirror, and her future is that she's a very old witch. I don't know. And then they leave the cave and go after Miguel. It's like, and this is what I wrote in my notes. What is the point of this? How is it progressing the story in any way?
It doesn't. And I guess the only thing is so that Tabitha and Charity know that Hecuba is like part of this whole thing now, just so they know.
Does she must become an important character.
She does. This storyline like progresses with her, and there's a whole thing. There's a whole thing with Hecuba.
Oh boy.
But and it goes on for like I feel like 100 episodes. Like there's a lot with Hecuba for a while. And it's fucking great, Laura.
Oh,
like,
I'm sure it's great.
The Hecuba stuff.
They needed to do more with it now because it's just like what?
Yeah, no, this part was very confusing. It was a bad transition.
It was not a great transition.
No, it was a bad transition.
But wait,
it was a bad way to introduce her. It was a really bad way to introduce her.
It was. She was great. I left it and I was like, wow, I really enjoy her and I hope I get to see more of her, but I don't understand any of it.
And Tabitha's like concerned about this box. Every time we're gonna go to the ruins, Tabitha's talking about this box. She's like, they can't find the box, but she never makes mention of this witch that she trapped down there. Like, shouldn't you be concerned about that too?
Yeah.
This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Yeah, good point. Why?
It's the first I'm hearing of it. So anyway, Miguel and Kay look for Charity, even though Kay is continuing to say Charity is evil. We should not be looking for her. We should be trying to get the hell out of here. Miguel's not listening to her. They finally find Charity, who's like, help, Miguel, I need your help, because she's evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Kay says to Miguel, just do me a favor. If you don't believe me, when we find Charity, look into her eyes. You will see that she is evil. And when they find her, she turns around, those eyes are glowing. He's like, Charity. But he still isn't quite, until she starts shooting lightning at him.
And talking in her demon voice. She has red glowing eyes, is speaking in demonic voices, and is shooting lightning at him. And Miguel's like, this is exactly what I saw in the mirror.
Yeah. And he's like, I believe you, Kay. Well, you should now, because of course you do now. She's shooting lightning at you.
Oh my God. And the whole time that she's shooting lightning at him, he's like, Charity, why would you do this? I love you. It's like, she's possessed. This isn't her, bruh.
Yeah. And when he says, I love you, she starts to kind of fight and like, no, I won't let you hurt Miguel, but she loses like she always does.
Mm-hmm. And then they decide to do it again. They actually do this like 2 or 3 times.
3 times at least. 3 times at least
in these episodes.
Yeah.
On top of having done this before. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore. No. But they do it again.
Well, and at one point, Charity then falls down because she is having like a struggle with herself or whatever, and she falls down. Miguel tries to go back for her for some reason. And Kay's like, no, she's adamant. Like, good for Kay. I'm glad. Yes. I'm so glad Kay was like, absolutely not. Let's go. We gotta go. Because he kept trying to go back for her because that was fake. That was evil Charity, like trying to get him to come back. Yeah. And when he doesn't come back, she stands up. She's like, I gotta go after them, whatever. And then they get into a mine cart, and it's like stuck. And they like ride it down. But here's the thing. There's no fucking way those tracks are clear.
No.
There's no way
those tracks are clear. Charity's been trying to cause a cave in. It's been how many
50, 60 years?
How many decades? I mean, heck, he's in that cave for 300 years, like how, I don't know, man. And also they're going deeper into the mine. Girl. They're going deeper into the mine in pitch black. It would be complete darkness. Either way, whatever. I just want to say I'm fully team K. Fully team K. I have done a complete reversal, 180. Fully. I am 100% on psychopath team K.
Psychopath, our unlovable lunatic.
You know what? I love her.
Yeah.
Team K.
Became
all
lovable.
The way.
She became lovable.
She's just not stupid. Everyone else is so dumb.
Everybody's so
dumb.
Annoying. And you know what? They've changed that though, because Kay was really dumb. Kay was making really like dumb plans. But she picks up on things. She does pick up on things, which she always has. So good for her. The only thing she couldn't pick up on was that Miguel didn't love her, but apparently he did, because he did make out with her in the forest. So
and he told her if Charity never came along, we would be together. Which she had been saying, and I was like,
she had been saying that. Yeah. She's right. She was right. All right, what's going on above ground? Because I'm tired of this downtown underground bullshit.
Here we go. Above ground. Fated couples. After nearly getting caught in a compromising position at the Russell house, Chad and Whitney and her parents rush to the site of the accident to help. Chad, of course, ends up falling down the mine shaft and is narrowly rescued by Sam. While passed out, he fully admits his feelings to Whitney and wakes up to her kissing him. She finally confronts him about knocking up Tiffany, the fake book cafe girl. Shuis, at the sight of the ruins, Hank attempts to push Sheridan down a mine shaft, but is interrupted by an unsuspecting Louise. Later, Sheridan is sent off for water from the spring and runs into the ghostly ancestors of Grace, Sam, and Charity, who inform her that someone wants to kill her. Then she passes out. Troubled marriages. Julian seems to sniff out that Sam is always coming to Ivy's rescue. Then basically everyone begs Julian to help with the rescue, and he refuses to call for crew and equipment, claiming it would be too expensive to call them in the middle of the night for this kind of operation. Everyone is pissed because the mines are on Crane land and it was their responsibility to properly seal off the entrances to keep everyone safe. Julian gets what's coming when he falls down a shaft himself. The end of my summary.
That was great. Like, I'm proud of you for getting that done, because like I don't know that I would have been able to get it done. I want to start this with before we get into any of the storylines, I want to start this with Sam is bad at his fucking job.
Sam's bad at his job so many times.
Listen,
Grace tells him to call for backup, and he says, just get me water.
Why not? Why? This is who's at the mine, everybody. 2 police officers and random townspeople, basically. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like 2 police officers and a bunch of civilians. Call the fire department, maybe?
Yeah. Call for backup. Call the fire department. Call in other officers. Maybe see if there's some Green Berets around who can help you out.
I mean, nonsense that happens here. Like, they literally wasted so much time, and they didn't call any of the rescue teams that they should have called. Mm-hmm. He is very bad at his job. Ethan is actually right about that. Like, he's so bad at his job. Bad at his job. How did you not think to call? And like, look, Julian should bring in some stuff, whatever, to help if they ask him to help. This is your property, whatever. But what the fuck is a construction crew gonna do?
A construction
crew. They're not trained
rescuers. No,
they're not first responders.
They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. You actually need to bring in like a cave or mine expert to make sure that in the process of rescuing people, you're not going to like bring down the mine.
Yeah. What are you going to do with a bulldozer? What are you going to do with that?
What are you going to do with a bobcat?
What are you going to do with that? I just didn't understand. So again, before we get into anything, that was what was irritating me the entire time.
It's so irritating. It's so irritating because then everyone is praising him like what he's doing is good.
Everyone's praising him, giving Julian so much shit. And don't get me wrong, Julian was terrible. This was awful, and he's awful.
Julian was terrible.
But they're giving him so much shit. It's his job to do this. It's Sam's job to do it.
Yeah, girl. So let's begin this by just reminding the good folks at home that there are rocks flying around. Yes. Right? Okay. So everything is chaos and crazy. Grace is having some premonitions. I didn't write it in my summary.
Child, I did, because I want to talk about it real quick. I'm sorry. Yeah. I want to talk about Grace's bullshit with this box. Grace goes into like a trance at one point. And she's like, we're all gonna die, first of all. And she says the box of light, the box of power needs to open so that we can all be saved. The box must open. And when she comes out of it, she says she's getting this feeling like we're all gonna die and that all the kids in the mine are gonna die. And then she says, I've gotten these feelings before, and every time I got this feeling, everything that I thought came true. That's not true. That's not true.
We've seen your premonitions not come true.
They literally never come true. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Who wrote this? Do y'all not remember? They literally never come true.
Yeah, I didn't write about it in the summary, but it was I wrote it in my notes, of course, but it was like, how does this matter? Why is this important? Because we know the kids are not going to die. We know everyone's going to survive. We know, so are we just being reminded that there's an important box containing Saint Michael?
And then let's talk about this box real quick, because she's having these feelings about this box, and the box is like shaking down in the mine shaft, and Charity and Tabitha is saying like, oh, we need to make sure that box doesn't open. Timmy, make sure the box doesn't open. So he basically just kind of puts his hand on it. Am I to believe that the might of Saint Michael can be contained by the weight of a doll hand?
I guess so, because then they never return to the box or the premonition.
They start putting some stuff on it.
It's never brought up again. It's never brought up again. We moved from St. Michael to Hecuba. I don't know.
Yeah.
don't know.
Like, okay. So anyway, yes, Charity realizes like the people up top are trying to like help, and so she starts the rock storm.
And that's when, and I think we're going a little out of order here, but that's when that Indiana Jones boulder starts rolling.
Yeah.
And it rolls down the hill and it actually pushes Chad into the chasm, but he lands like on this little shelf, but he's bonked his head. He's got a big gash on his head. He's bleeding out and he's passed out.
This poor kid.
Chad's body. I mean, my God, bruised, broken, healed and bruised and broken again. This man is going to be bionic.
Yeah. I mean,
by the end of all these surgeries.
Yeah. Because he just got to the point where he could leave the Russell home and was like well enough to not be bleeding out all over the place, right?
Yeah.
Like that happened like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
You know, so
and now he's been crushed by a boulder and brought down onto a precipice in the mine shaft.
So he's down there. Everybody's all upset. Sam decides to what do you call it? Suspend himself down into the mine on a rope.
Yeah.
To get Chad. The rope, of course, like tears, but they're able to grab Sam, and he's able to pull, repel. Thank you. Pull. What's this boy's name? Chad up out of the mine. Everything is fine. No, literally, nobody dies. Nobody gets hurt, and it's a lot. Like there's rocks flying. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's horrible, really." But nothing. Nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt.
Nobody gets hurt. At some point, like whatever. Well, I'll come back to that. But yeah, so he rescues Chad. It's another tale of daring do, the rope phrase, but I think Hank grabs his brother's hand before all is lost and he hauls them up to the ground. And then Eve is like, Whitney, keep an eye on Chad. He looks like he's going to be fine. He's passed out. He's clearly concussed. He's bleeding from an open wound on his head. Just keep an eye on him.
Laura, why are there no EMS here?
Because
we know
Sam
that
is a terrible chief of police.
Like there should be ambulances here ready,
right,
for when y'all get these bodies out.
Well, they've got Eve though. She's every doctor. So
she's every doctor, every EMS, every nurse, every chiropractor. She's everything.
Every mortician.
She saw him and was like, "He's fine."
Yeah.
He was crushed by a boulder, but he's fine.
She saw him and said, "He's fine. Whitney, keep an eye on him, but not too close. I don't like how you look at each other. You know, I don't like that boy." And then when he's like, "Yes, Mom, I know." And then she keeps an eye on Chad. Chad is having a dream because he's been passed out, that he's telling Whitney how much he loves her and how it's so tragic that they can't be together. And then he's like crying out. He's starting to come to. Whitney is devastated by this news and starts kissing this unconscious person.
Well, it wakes him up and he starts kissing her back. And then when she pulls off, he's like, "Why'd you stop?" Because he's up, he's ready to go, he's raring to go.
He's like, "I'm healthy. I'm a strong, strapping young man who survived so many deathly encounters."
Yeah,
Let's keep going.
And then they recap their whole issues, which is he thinks that her issue with him is that she doesn't want to go against her family. She thinks that he got some girl pregnant. He says, no, I didn't, and I would never do something like that. And I would expect you, of all people, to know better. They had this conversation before.
Oh, they did?
They did.
I guess I forgot about it because I wrote it down again.
When
it had never happened.
She barged into his apartment because the music was too loud.
Okay.
They had that same conversation. And then he asks her, like, who said this, but she won't tell him. And she still won't.
Yeah.
So
and
whatever.
She still won't.
Whatever. I'm glad that they're moving along and doing something else there. It's gonna get resolved. It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's get away from it.
Let's talk about Shuise.
Let's talk about Shuise, y'all.
Let's talk about Shuise.
Hank is all hanked up. Okay.
Hank the Tank.
He's gotten himself all hanked up to kill Sheridan.
Hank the murder tank over here.
because Sheridan has decided, I'm gonna be with Luis after all. And you know what? If two birds, one stone, I could kill her. If I can't have her, he can't have her. And Nobody's gonna find out about my secrets because Pierre is in Harmony, remember? And Pierre's in the forest too with everybody.
Yeah, Pierre is like hiding 7 feet away from everybody else behind a tree, and Hank very suspiciously keeps walking back and forth to talk to Pierre, and then wanders back into the rescue scene, and then goes to talk to Pierre some more, and then at one point he's like, Sam, you're such a brave man for your rescue. I could never live up to you. I'm such a letdown. And Sam's like, no, you're a wonderful man. No matter what you did, I couldn't be ashamed of you, my brother. And Pierre's like, your brother's going to be ashamed of you if he finds out what you have done. It's like, what are we doing? So Hank's like, I guess I'll kill Sheridan.
Yeah, well, and now the new plan is Pierre's like, you don't have to shoot her, just push her into the mine shaft.
Which makes sense. So Hank's kind of like walking backwards, like, oh, I'm just gonna accidentally bump into her, then she'll fall down a shaft and die.
Yeah, but Luis catches it. Like, he doesn't catch him. He's like, what are you doing, man? You could have hurt Sheridan. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even realize you were there. But he tries it a couple of times, and it just doesn't work.
He tries it a couple of times.
Then Sheridan and Luis have been having like very sweet moments. He's like rescued her a couple of times from boulders and shit. Then Pilar and Grace ask Sheridan to go to the old town settlement to get water from the spring, because they would like to stay and just in case there's any news of their loved ones. I don't know. Go help this lady. Help her. She's going to carry gallons of water by herself. Like,
well, so literally this is on the heels of Grace telling Sam to call for backup and him saying, no, I just need water. So then she goes to tell Sheridan to collect water.
And what does he need water for? What do they need water for?
I don't know. I guess they're just thirsty from fending off rocks. I don't know.
So she sends Sheridan off. Sheridan's like, I'm happy to help. And she goes off with her water tanks or whatever. And then that's when the ghosts appear to her and say,
well, first she walks into a hanging branch.
Oh, yeah.
And bonks her head. And I think that's important because then she sees the ghosts. And I think that she's going to claim that it was because she hit her head.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So she hits her head. Then she sees some ghosts and they tell her that they want to kill thee, Sheridan.
Beware, be careful. I think it's alluded to that now that she's found Luis, they're going to be killed because in past lives, whenever Sheridan and Luis find each other, they're murdered.
Yeah, their lives are
she's
cut short.
Murdered. Their lives are cut short. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what they say. So we can move on.
Beware.
So Sheridan's and then she passes out.
Oh, but Hank is following her because now that she's isolated headed off to the spring, he's gonna kill her.
Yeah,
I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah, and Luis finds out that she was headed out to get water, so I imagine he's gonna follow behind too.
Yeah.
So that's that. What else we need to talk about with this? Anything?
Okay, so with the troubled marriages, there's a little headway. The rocks are flying around. Julian is a coward. He does nothing to help in any capacity, and then Sam ends up quote unquote rescuing Ivy from the rock storm, but he literally just picks her up and carries her to another place.
Yeah.
And the rocks are still flying around. I don't know why it's impressive.
It was like the women were only safe if they were with a man.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Exactly what it was.
The women were only safe if they were with a man. So any woman who wasn't with a man, when Julian left her, she was no longer safe.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. But this also sparks a little thought in Julian's mind. He's like, interesting. Why is it that Sam Bennett is always rescuing my wife? So he kind of starts asking Ivy, what's going on? Why is Sam Bennett always around? Why is he always saving you? She's like, because you're a coward and you never do.
Yeah.
And then this leads into everyone saying, Julian, this is actually your responsibility. This is happening because you didn't handle your responsibility when you were supposed to. Now you need to call a construction crew to aid in the rescue of our loved ones who are trapped underground. And Julian refuses.
Yeah, he's like, they'll be on golden time. Can't afford it.
And it's awful. All these and all these people funny. It was so funny because he's because he's a great actor. And one by one, every single person above ground begs Julian to make the phone call to save them. And then he one by one tells him to fuck all the way off. And then Pilar is like, Ivy, can't you do anything? And Ivy's like, I can't. I know it won't work, so I won't even try. But instead of being mad at her and Julian, everyone's just mad at Julian.
Well, then Julian falls into the mine shaft, which was the best part of all of these episodes.
In the middle,
because it really took me off guard. Like it took me by surprise. I didn't see it coming. And
he
it was hilarious.
fell down the shaft in the middle of a speech about how people need to be more careful about where they're going, and they were trespassing anyway. And if they had just been looking where they were and then he falls down into a fucking mine shaft.
Yeah, it was great.
Hilarious.
It was hilarious, and I loved it. It was the best part of all of these episodes. The next thing I will say is why not call Ethan? If this is the trajectory we're going to take, if this is the plan we're going to use, we think that the only thing we can do is use Crane Industries. Call Ethan, because Ethan has all of the power now.
And only Ivy knows that. So when Pilar
knows it too.
And Pilar says, Ivy, can't you do anything? Won't you do anything? And Ivy says, there's nothing I can do, even though she knows full well that her son is in control of everything, because at this point, Julian's been disinherited. Yeah. He has no control at all.
Which was part of why I thought maybe he wasn't going to do it, because he didn't want to be embarrassed and say, I can't. Not only is it that like, I don't want to because it'll cost money, but I like have no power anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was going. I wonder if that was part of what was going on with him, you know.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. That's a really good point.
But the entire time I was like, call Ethan. Why won't anybody call Ethan?
Why won't anyone call Ethan? And they sent Sheridan away, so she wasn't going to call. But why wouldn't I actually got pissed at Ivy. I was like, why aren't you doing anything? You're just saying, oh, I can't. There's nothing I can do. When you're actually the person who could solve the problem by just calling your fucking son.
Calling her son, but also we have seen that Ivy does have power. Like she might not have anything to do with Crane Industries, but we have seen that she does have power. When she tells people, like when she went to that lodge or whatever, and she was like, I own this lodge. Like, so
my last name is Crane and you're going to do what I want. Like
you're going to do what I want. Yeah. She has more power. She has plenty of power.
Yeah. So I thought that was really annoying. I thought, I don't know. I thought it was funny. It made me laugh. Like Julian stuff was hilarious. He fell on the shaft, like his dumb little speeches he was giving, his reaction to everything. But also I was like fucking annoyed because this isn't actually on them, but even though they could solve it, but like, I do love when Sam threatened him. I loved that very much.
It was great. I love when Sam, it was finally where Sam was like flying off the handle and Luis had to pull him off of Julian.
Yeah.
You know, we had that reverse and it was great.
It was great. He's like, I'm going to arrest you. I'm going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law unless you help. Do you read me, Mr. Crane? Like he flew off the fucking handle. It was great. I enjoyed watching it happen, but it's actually all Sam's responsibility. Yeah. You could fix this in a fucking phone call, Sam. Yeah.
He hasn't called any of the services that he should be calling.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It's really that simple. Like I said, when we started this storyline, I was like, that's really my main takeaway from this whole week was that Sam is very bad at his job. And I've been saying that.
Yeah, we have been saying this for a long time. Sam should not be the chief of police.
He's terrible at his job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Yes.
That's it. That's the show this week, everyone.
Oh, it was a lot.
I know. It was so much.
It was a mess. Oh, I apologize in advance for what a mess this is, listeners. I guess not in advance. I guess I apologize.
Yeah, I apologize after the fact.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we did okay.
Yeah.
It was just another thing where it's like, we're going to have to try and tell you what happened in a way that kind of makes sense. And I think we did all right.
Yeah.
But it was chaotic to watch.
Yeah. It really was. I took 4 pages of notes. Like I couldn't take notes. And I usually do about 7. I couldn't take notes. I was like, I don't know what to do.
I gave up trying to put them in any semblance of an order. And I was just like, this is what's happening as I'm seeing it. And I don't know. I guess I'll figure it out from there. So we did.
All right. So remember, you can always catch us on our social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, at Passions Podcast and at Podcast Passions on Twitter. And you can always send us an email passionspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, sorry, passionspodcast@gmail. But just ignore me. Do you also should we talk about how our Instagram is migrating to a different account?
We can go ahead and do that. Yeah, so we're gonna be moving to a new Instagram that is @passionspod. So @passionspod. Yeah. So we're gonna our old Instagram will be going inactive in a few weeks. So you want to start following the new one. All right. And with that,
is that it? Did we do it?
We did it, girl.
All right, great.
Here we go. You are
my passion for
you start
love.
and I'm gonna follow you. Here we go. Ready, go.
You are my